Many years ago, I came across a few lines in a book that I connected with. They were, "It's easy to judge, but you never know another person's heart, what gives them strength and what breaks them down." I have learned to listen more and speak less. The result has been eye-opening conversations and inspirational moments that I have shared with you right here. Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Time for another amazing conversation. We are at Kampala Sheraton Hotel and this show is brought to you by Roke Telcom. With me today I have Comrade Otoa. I say that way because I think it's a nickname that you got.
It is a title I got from school, way
A
back
title.
in school. Yeah.
Comrade.
Yeah. Revolutionary, steadfast, Marxist at the time. We're talking about Che Guevara, we're talking about Fidel
Lord.
Castro, the whole until victory always, hasta la vista, or hasta la victoria siempre, until victory always. So that's where the title comes from.
I think I need to know your friends.
Well, yeah, you should, but they're quite crazy though.
Are you still close?
Yes, close with a few of them. Quite interesting people who played a very interesting role in the story I'm going to tell you about. But yeah, we've kept tabs with, again, with the WhatsApp groups and all of this. I think it's been easy as well to get a lot of people who were disjointed back into the same kind of forums. So yeah. We've
come a long way from the letter writing back in the day and long distance phone calls for the people who travel.
That's true. I was actually telling someone, days have changed. Back in the day when I was in school, we had to send the girls letters to tell them to be at DV8 at 2 p.m. on the 28th of a certain day. And you know what? You would still go to DV8 on that day at 1:45 and wait for 2 p.m. and she would show up. Now,
on time.
Boom, boom, boom. WhatsApp. She blue ticks. If she comes, she comes. If she doesn't.
And half the time we're like, oh, I'm running late. I'll be there in 20 minutes.
Yeah. But yeah, technology has kind of like made it interesting for the way people come together now, or the way people connect as compared to back in the day. And I guess that's the reason, actually, that's the reason why we've managed to stay in touch with a lot of these friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Tell us what the names are on your birth certificate. Which names?
So the birth names are Tony Otoa. The name Okao is one that was given to me by a relative. He was a drunk and he was just a happy guy. And when he saw me at my house, he told my dad, this guy is going to be like me, a funny, happy, drunk guy. So
sure that was stressful for you, parents? Like, no.
It hasn't come to pass though. But it's a very, very interesting name. So it's Tony Okao Otoa. Those are my names.
What does Okao mean?
So I'm not very clear on what it means, but in the Lango culture, the name Otoa is one I'm very confident about. There are only two families, by the way, in this country that use that name. That's my dad's family and his late brother, Jimmy Obo Otoa. And what Otoa simply meant is, people who migrated into the rocks. Our place is very rocky as well. So there's some story about the rocks, and it's a story that comes in away from their movement all the way from a place called Akokoro, where Obote was born, all the way into Lira right now, where we're currently situated, and where I will end up resting finally.
Okay. Do you visit often?
A lot of the time. I have my farming activities over there, so I do a lot of farming every 2-3 weeks. I'm in Lira, and it's a place I call peace, or it's a place that I go for my peaceful meditation times. Yeah.
So do you feel like you connect with the earth? That is a
it's
place?
I think when you talk about connection with the earth, for me, it's something that is, or that I would connect with my activities, the farming. The need to really be one with it. So by being one with it, you have to take care of it, you have to nurture it, you don't have to destroy it. And again, preserve it for, the future. That for me is what really resonates. So that's what I could probably say in regard to that.
Okay, so when did this love for farming begin?
Love for farming for me was an interesting one. I came back from the UK in 2012, and when I came back, I decided I'm not going to work for anyone. To hell with this corporate.
What happened in the UK? Did something happen?
I'll tell you why. But I just felt I wanted to be my own man. I wanted just to be my own self.
Okay.
I came and invested all my savings in agriculture. I lost all my money I spent so much money, close to about 20, 25 million shillings, and only got back about less than a million shillings from all of that.
Ouch.
It was so terrible that I decided, you know what, I need a job. I need a job. So that's how I go back into employment. And yeah, so, but then the beauty about it was the failure. And I learned from that failure. And I learned that, I learned what didn't work. And I learned what could work. And over the last 8 years, it has just been failure, trial. Failure, trial. And now, it's starting to catch. It's starting to work out. It's starting to make sense. It's starting to make money. You know? But
so it takes a lot of time.
I think farming is one of the ventures that needs a lot of patience. Because again, our deal mentality in this city of hey, change tumbler, deal, it can't work. What you need to do is to really go through a process of learning and unlearning. You know? So farming for me is very much something that has taught me so much, especially when it comes to patience. And again, what are you into farming for? Is it the money, or is it to create value in what you're doing, but also your life or the community?
I think if you're going into it for money, that's a big mistake.
When you go into it for money, exactly, it gets really distorted. But when you're going into it for other things, the money follows the value. You see, I've always told people, anything in life is about value. The more value you put into yourself, the more value you put into whatever you're doing or your product, the more it attracts money. So the money follows the value, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
But if you focus on the money first, you fail on the most interesting or basic areas, which are the value that you need to create for the people or the money to come. You see? It's like starting a business and you're saying, I have so many customers coming in. Your friend is probably also doing the same business with the same mindset of the same customers. So you're all targeting the same guys. But what value are you creating in your product to make the customer want to come back to you and not
Someone
your
else.
friend or someone else? So I think that's quite important. And again, if you think about brands, or if you think about crazy brands around the world, it's the value. People want to be attached to something that has a certain value, you know, and that's where they take their money to. I mean, think about Lamborghini, for instance. Have you seen many adverts of Lamborghini around?
No.
Okay, but there are people who buy Lamborghinis. Now, one Lamborghini costs, I don't know how many Toyotas, but think about it. And Toyota has to advertise. But when you think about the value that these guys put in that Lamborghini and why they make it so cool for you to go and buy it, that's what makes you take out your hard-earned money and go and buy it.
It's also the exclusivity that you're tapping into.
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, people have to be exclusive. You know, no one wants to be like everyone. But again, what we are seeing in today's society is we are seeking so much approval and perceptions from other people to make us feel valuable.
Yes.
Which is wrong. Because for as long as you assume and want that from other people, when it's gone, you're worthless, you feel so useless, and it affects you. But when you decide to create that value for yourself, take care of yourself, you're better off. I mean, just imagine this. This cup right now is half empty, right? Or it's half full, depending on how you want to look at it.
And how you look at it.
For me to make sure that I can share the contents of this cup with anyone, it's very difficult if the cup is empty or going towards the end. However, if I fill it up, it's easy for me to have it overflow, because you see, boom, it overflows. And when it overflows, what happens is, that's what you give to other people. That is what you know, when you take care of this, you're able to share with more.
Yes.
But when you don't take care of this, it's kind of like going to, overdrawing your bank account. When you get overdrawn, you can't get any much out of it. You understand? But if you have more going into it, you're able to share. You're able to give more. So I think it's very important when, again, we talk about value for yourself or value in yourself. The more you're better for yourself, the more you can share. I can't share knowledge with you if I have no knowledge. I can't share money with you if I have no money. I can't share anything with you if I don't have anything. So I think it's very important for us to put that in this perspective.
Okay. You talked about coming back.
Yeah.
You sunk all your savings into agriculture.
Absolutely, yeah.
Then you're like, I have to get a job.
Yeah.
Did you do what you went to school to do? Did you get a job in that field?
No. So I studied law and international relations for my first degree. I had to work 3 jobs to do that. And
this was in the UK.
This was in the UK. And I guess I'll tell you how I went to the UK. But I started 3 jobs. Sorry, I worked at 3 jobs. So I would go to university from, say, 9 o'clock to about 2 p.m. Then I would go to Ladbrokes, a betting firm. I was a cashier, of course, turned into manager finally. Titles. Yeah, so I would work from 2:30 to about 9 p.m. Then from 9 p.m. I would move to a kitchen in Headington, a place called Headington in Oxford, where I would do last-minute orders and also clean up the kitchen and get it ready for the guys next day.
Okay.
And then after that, from say midnight, I would go to the post office, sort letters till about 4 p.m.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then go sleep, 9 o'clock.
So you'd sleep from like 4 a.m. to 9?
Yes, no, to about 8.
Oh
and then
my
get ready for class, which starts at about 9. But it was a very interesting experience for me, and I think the greatness in it was the humility and the desire to hustle, the desire to work hard. My father was retired. That meant that I had to pay for my tuition and my upkeep. So all of this had to come somehow or somewhere from somewhere. So I had to go into doing all these jobs. And then, of course, I graduated. I told you I had to call my father. I actually insist on getting my father to come over for my graduation. I flew him using British Airways at the time, just to make sure that he can see that the guy he thought would never go to school has finally graduated.
Wait, we have to go back.
Yeah.
By the time you felt you had to prove this.
Yeah.
So that uncle.
Yeah. Yeah.
What happened in school? Because
So-
you said you were rebellious.
Yeah, so let's go back maybe to my high school days. I went to Mwiri for my A-levels, and in my O-levels I was at a school called Lakeview. Okay, let me just start from the beginning of my O-level. So O-level, I managed to pass well for my P7, and my mother insisted I had to go to Namasagali. For her, it was the cool school where they teach you culture and how to be a gentleman and all this. Yeah. I was a shy guy. Being around women or girls was a little, we had agape where you move with a girl and, get tea for, and all these things were a little strange for me. So I was
Okay.
hardly in class. Many guys who know me very well know that you could count the days I was in class. I was a runner boy. I was a businessman
In Namasagali.
in Namasagali. So we were the boys who would run through the tunnels into the village to buy fish called sankara and chapatis, massive chapatis, and come and sell them for a good fee. So we were making a lot of money.
Okay.
This one time, we were intercepted by a guy called Downey. Downey was one of those Muzungu teachers who intercepted us, and we were expelled. So when I was expelled, my father was saying, my father's first thought was, this guy, I need to teach him a lesson. I need to take him to a strict school where he has to learn how to really be a serious guy. I end up being taken to a school called Lakeview.
Okay. This was like what? S1, S2?
This was senior 1. So I get expelled at the end of senior 1. So I have to go to Lakeview now, repeat my senior 1 because I was hardly in school.
Okay.
Lakeview was quite interesting because it was a school run by priests and nuns. It was a 1-block school at the time. 1 classroom with an administration block. I had to actually bring my desk, to the school. It was crazy. I had to bring the desk to school and all of this. But what was interesting though was, again, back to humility. That's where I met people like Radio. Me and Radio and a guy called Emoro Emmanuel were ragamuffins. We were musicians. We would go to Ginger, I remember, and carry speakers. There was a disco guy, the disco guy or disco equipment guys who would ask us to come and carry equipment, and then we would sing as curtain raisers and whatever, and so I was Chakadimas, the guys were Pliers, and we were all these guys, That's where I meet my very good friend Radio, who actually, I must say, if I was serious about music, I could have been better than him. I'm lying.
I'm like, oh my.
But yeah, I moved from Lakeview and then go to Mwiri. And I think it's in Mwiri that I started getting involved in a lot of leadership roles, but also start getting involved in this whole idea of revolution, the whole Marxist ideology, and the whole idea of
Do you
being,
remember who introduced you to it?
I can't remember, but there was a guy called Chris Tugume. He was the debating chairman, the debating society chairman, and he's the guy I actually took over from.
Okay.
And all we did was just debate Karl Marx, Engels, talk about all these philosophy. I can't remember, but there was a guy called Chris Tugume. He was the debating chairman, the debating society chairman, and he's the guy I actually took over from.
Okay.
And all we did was just debate Karl Marx, Engels, talk about all these philosophies. Man, we were philosophical, for the time. I don't even know whether we knew what we were talking about anyway. But it was quite interesting. And it's at Mwiri that I led a strike. When I think about it now, I don't think it was the best thing to do, but at the time, as a young man...
What were your reasons?
So we were paying for a school bus.
Okay.
Which school bus we never got a chance to use, or we thought we would not get a chance to use.
So it was part of like the school fees?
Absolutely.
Ah.
And so towards our mocks, we decided to lead a strike. I was a kid with a mobile phone. Me and a guy called Daniel Barunji were the first kids with a mobile phone in Mwiri. Again, back to the businessman idea. What we would do we would buy units at the time, and we would sell units. You come speak for 2 units or whatever and pay us. And so we used that phone to coordinate the strike. I remember going down, getting permission, and going down with my friend Roland Taremwa to Jinja, where we were, having a good time with my father. We had gotten permission to legally go out, but we were coordinating the strike on phone. And Roland's idea is so crazy because we're finishing the drinking and he's like, how about we go and see our thing? So we leave Jinja Town to come back to the hill.
You were coordinating a strike,
Yeah.
but you were not there.
No, we weren't there. I was coordinating it using, working with a guy called Tony or Lira and another guy called Moses, called Moses.
Skip your mind.
Yeah, I'll remember the name. But it was quite interesting. Olet Moses.
Okay.
Olet Moses, yes. But it was quite interesting because when we came back on the hill, I was intercepted by the police.
Okay.
There were so many military police and police guys around the hill. I was intercepted. I was arrested, taken to Kakira police station. When they came back to my room, they found bottles of... So I had a faction of the prefects that I led. It was called the Bakwiri community. And every Friday we had communion and we would buy bottles of... bottles... It's so embarrassing. Bottles of Bond 7.
Communion!
And this is what we would do. We would have communion and debate against the real faction of prefects, led by the head prefect, who was a very Christian guy, scripture union guy. We guys were the dark side. Anyway, so all of that was used as evidence against me, and I was expelled. And I remember going down the hill, picking up my father. My father coming back to the hill was like, hey, but my son, he came with all his military regalia, came and tried to speak to the guys and the disciplinary committee, and the guys were like, no, Otoa, your son?
We're not having him.
So I left I left the school, and I remember driving down the school with my father. My father says to me, my son, you're going to be a very, very successful guy. I'm like, well, I've just been expelled a week to mocks. How is that going to happen? Guy's like, you see, Obote was here before, and he was the first guy to be expelled from this school for a strike. You're following in his footsteps. I was like, wow, that's a yardstick for success. Okay. So it didn't really mean anything to me. And I remember I missed my mocks. My mother, our house in Ginger is near the Nile, and I remember telling my mother I wanted to commit suicide.
Oh no.
I told her, Mom, me, I think it's time for me to commit suicide. I'm done. My mom said, no, don't worry. You want to commit suicide? You want to fall in the river? You'll take long to die.
Did you
get your dad?
Did you actually mean it?
I wanted sympathy. I needed sympathy. She said, no, get your father's gun and shoot yourself. We'll bury you and we move on. I'm like, I'm trying to get some sympathy here, man. How about you?
I like your mom.
So I didn't kill myself. I'm here. So a month after that, our headmaster, Semivole George, came up to my house and told my father I could do my exams,
Okay.
my final exams. So it was a great relief because every school I had gone to, every funny school, including the schools in random houses, were refusing to take me in to do exams.
So it's stressful.
Very stressful. So I went back to Muiri. I remember I was asked not to act as a prefect anymore. I was a prefect at the time. I was given a huge anthill to deal with. Hey, I managed to get what you call bachuba nowadays from Kakira. So I would dig in my masapenes in the daytime. And in the night, my bachuba would come and dig that thing. And the idea was you had to dig it until you get the queen, right? We got the queen in 2 days' time. Hey, the teachers were like, "Mama, this guy, okay." So I got the queen.
There was no one supervising?
Who supervises in the night? I mean, I can dig the whole day, but in the night, no one is there to supervise. So I managed to do that, take it to the staff room, and I did my exams. I did not do my arts paper because it had paper A that involved tie and dye and all these things. I never did that. And I passed, interestingly. But that's when I decided during my vacation to become my own man.
Okay.
Yeah. So around that time, I start working I continue working as a town boy. Remember, I was a town boy in my S4 vacation, and I liked the idea of driving around the country. So I became a town boy again on a truck. So what we would do is we would take dry fish from Jinja in a place called Masese, all the way to Mbale. And then from Mbale, we would pick up the same fish. We would then deliver the same fish, then move on to Soroti, Kumi, and all these places, pick up dry cassava, and bring it to a place in Jinja called Kazimingi.
Wow.
Yeah. I did that with my brother James. We liked it. We would travel. We would sleep in lodges of 2K, 2,000 shillings. We would. It was quite interesting. But I think for us at that age is our idea of life and the world started changing. Because seeing different people in their different situations, different cultures, different ideas, different ways of doing things kind of flipped my perception of life. So when university time was due, I didn't want to go to university.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because I was earning money. I was earning about 40,000, 30,000 a week. Hey, as compared to any of my university peers, I was doing well.
Yeah, you couldn't compare your life to everyone else.
So my peers get into university, I am adamant. My father is mad.
So you were like, no.
People go to university to get a job to earn money. I am earning money. I already have a job, right? So anyway, I do this for a year. And it was quite interesting because if you know what a town boy does, he's a guy who carries or loads the truck and throws on the tarpaulin and, he's the guy who repairs and carries the tires. And but it was nice.
You were content.
I was happy.
At that time.
Yeah, I was content. But you see, my father was not content. And that was what was bugging me.
And your brother?
My brother decided to go into school. He went to Uptech to do his computer studies, and I decided to continue doing what I was doing. But it was quite interesting because after a year and a half, my dad is not happy, and we share the same names. I'm the junior, he's the senior. Oh, he's thinking legacy. Okay, we'll take care of your legacy. So I decided I want to be a journalist. I think it's a job here. My dad is very keen on newspaper reading and all these things. So I decided to become a journalist.
Okay.
My father had just come back from the UK with a small recorder. My mother had just gone through her treatment and he had just come back with a small recorder. I borrowed the recorder, for lack of a better word, and I would move around Kampala looking for stories or looking for confusion so I can record the confusion and run to the media house and report my story. I remember running to Monitor FM at the time several times, and I was never allowed to even go through the security desk. So, my stories were not that good or anything, so it never really happened. But this one Saturday was actually a very lucky Saturday for me. I woke up, came to town, came all the way to City Square, and I realized there was a group of people converging, all dressed in red and all this stuff. And I was like, this is something. I move into the crowd, and who is in charge of the crowd? Agri Awori. It's a UPC march Guys are marching all the way from City Square down to Uganda House. I'm like, hell yeah, this is it. This is the content people will take. So I move with my recorder next to Agra Warrior's mouth. Yeah, we're going to move, and we're all chanting, hey, mama, UPC, Congress of the People. Uganda House. So Uganda House, Agra Warriors addressing us, and then gunfire starts running out. Gunshots from all directions. Now, we have no clue where gunshots were coming from. We all duck. I get up, Agra Warrior, true to him being an athlete, disappeared, man. The man was nowhere. I'm like, well, this Chiboko that's coming along, no, I'm not going to get caught up in this. So that was the time when a journalism student called Jimmy Higenyi was killed, a student from Umkat. He was also covering the procession. I run from Uganda House behind to, I don't know, what's the street? Not Nkrumah, is that Nkrumah? The street behind Uganda House.
Okay.
Anyway, I run behind the house, that street, jumped into the building that houses Monitor FM. Monitor FM was a crown house. There was Baker's World below, if you recall, and then...
Yes.
So I went up. Rachel Mugarura was the station manager at the time, the news manager at the time, and she was running through her scripts for the day and whatever. I just dashed through the security area, went to her, and she was like, hey, but... I'm like, just listen to this thing, please. Just listen. She listens, pow, pow, everything, and she's like, hey, are these the gunshots I was hearing? And I'm like, yeah. She tells me, okay, narrate, what happened? She types a script quickly, runs onto air, and does it as breaking news. I'm like, yo, you know what? I don't even need your job, man. At least you've played my clip. I'm good. And she's like, you know what? Come back on Monday. We can try you out as a freelance journalist. Let's see how it goes. Come back on Monday, and they tell me to write the story properly as it happened. Christo, I didn't know how to work a computer, man. You know how you press Q, then you look for T, then you want to go down, and you're like, how do you go down? You know, I had no clue on how to work a computer. But anyway, I managed to get on as a freelance journalist and started covering a lot of political stories. Within a year of doing that, I really mastered the craft of journalism, reporting news, looking out for the topical news stories and all that stuff.
Did you feel like you had found your space?
Yeah. Interestingly, on that Saturday when I just got that job, I had my last 5,000 shillings here. I ran down to a Winnow market, bought the journalism jackets, you know, the ones with too many pens and all that stuff. I had to look the part, right? Yeah, so showed up on Monday and all that happened. But in about a year, I was able to become very influential in the political scene in Parliament, reporting for Monitor. I was voted the Secretary General of the Parliamentary Press Association. I had my office in Parliament. Fancy.
This was within a year.
Oh yeah. I mean, I just have this belief in me, Christo. Throw anyone anywhere, they will thrive. It just has to be there. It's your attitude. Because personally for me, whenever I get into any area, I always look out for who the best guys are and how can I be better than them. Because you see, by asking myself those two questions, I have to push myself to be better, to be better. So I covered Parliament, and then of course, it got a little bit boring, and then I started now covering political stories. And my very good friend Frank Nyakairu was able to allow me to take over reporting for Congo on one of those flights into Congo when Uganda was in Congo. And it was crazy. I mean, we went onto this old Antonov plane that had all these rusty tires and everything. You sit on a bench, and when the plane is going up, you just hold on to the bench as you go up, and then you know, these planes would take food, you know, beans and portion, whatever, for the troops. And then, of course, when they're coming back, they carry, who knows, anyway.